Okay, welcome to Di's Kitchen, where today we're going to take advantage of summer grilling, and we are going to grill chicken skewers that the chicken will be tossed in a breadcrumb, red wine vinegar, olive oil, garlic, oregano, kind of a toss with a little bit of Parmesan. Of course, you can make that without cheese if you are dairy-free. We are going to also make grilled romaine that will be drizzled with all of those ingredients that I just listed, except for the bread. And then we're gonna make a quinoa salad, and we'll have watermelon to go with it. So to begin with, we are gonna start with a shallot. So you'll need a shallot that you are going to dice very finely. And you're gonna get a bowl ready. And the things you need ready to make this are shallot. You're gonna need a clove of garlic. You're gonna need some fresh oregano. And you're gonna need extra virgin olive oil along with red wine vinegar. Okay, so I'll walk you through each of those ingredients. We're gonna start with our extra virgin olive oil, of which we need about a 1/4 cup. So I'm gonna get my bowl ready here. And I'm gonna put a 1/4 cup of EVOO. And then I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. I don't have a particular brand that I care about so much, but this one is called Pompeii. So 2 tablespoons red wine vinegar. And then I'm gonna add in some of my shallot. You could also use really finely diced red onion if you would like. That would be a great substitute. And I'm gonna add fresh oregano, and then I'm gonna add 1 clove of garlic. So how much? I would say a tablespoon or so, maybe even 1.5 tablespoons of diced onion. If you like more diced onion, you can add it. This is going to go drizzled over top of the romaine lettuce. It's also going to be what we dredge the chicken pieces in before we put them onto the skewers. So they're not gonna stay on there very well if they're big, and they're not gonna stay on there very well if there's too many pieces of onion. So use that as a basic clear as mud direction. So I'm really finely dicing these onions, and if the big pieces are in there or little pieces I don't like in there, I'm pulling them out. I would say I probably have 2 tablespoons here. I'm gonna use about half of it. So I'm gonna use about 1 tablespoon of that. And then I'm gonna add some fresh oregano, and this is actually kind of a time-consuming process, so I won't make you watch all of this. But one of the easiest ways to get oregano off the stem is to hold it from the top and then just slide your fingers down it, and all the leaves kind of pull off. And once you've got all those leaves off of the stem, you can kind of give those a little fine chop as well, and those will go into your sauce. So far in my bowl, I've got a 1/4 cup of EVOO, 2 tablespoons red wine vinegar, got about 1 tablespoon of shallot. I'm gonna chop up 1 clove of garlic, and I'm gonna chop up 1 tablespoon of oregano to go in there too, fresh oregano. If you're using dried oregano, use way, way less. So I'll get back to you as soon as I have that ready for you and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've made this dressing. Again, it's EVOO, 1/4 cup, 2 tablespoons red wine vinegar. I added 1.5 tablespoons-ish of chopped shallots. You could also add red onion if you want. I added a lot of oregano, fresh oregano, like maybe 2 tablespoons. So you can see there's lots of green in there. And then I added salt, and I think this is ready to go. So what I'm gonna do first, before I put raw chicken into this, is I'm going to drizzle it over a head of romaine lettuce. So I took a head of romaine lettuce, cut it into quarters lengthwise. So I went in half, and then I went in half again. You get these little spears. And I'm gonna drizzle these with this dressing, because then they're gonna go on the grill towards the end of cooking the chicken. And the grilled romaine is really good, so it's like a grilled salad. And so I'm gonna take a little bit of this dressing into my spoon here, and I'm gonna drizzle it over the top. And I don't want to do anything to this dressing until I've gotten what I need out of it for the romaine. I'll probably take just a little bit of oil also and just lightly drizzle the romaine just so it's got enough oil on it that it doesn't stick to my grill grates. And then we're ready to go. Now I'm gonna take the chicken. Now I took 4 pretty large chicken breasts and I cut them into pieces. Now, when you cut your chicken pieces, you want pretty big pieces of chicken. Pretty big is relative, so I don't want tiny ones because then they cook too quick and they dry out. And these are gonna get threaded onto skewers, but first we're going to get them into this dressing. So I used a lot of chicken, which means that if I feel like this is not enough dressing, I'll add a little bit more olive oil to it. I'm also going to add breadcrumbs. So I have gluten-free breadcrumbs that will go in this. I'm gonna add a little more olive oil. Okay, so nice and coated. I'm going to add these breadcrumbs. Now you can add 1.5 cups, maybe at the most. I don't like them quite that breaded, so I only did 1 cup. And then the other thing that's gonna get added to this is Parmesan cheese. And if you are dairy-free, you can either omit that or you can only, you know, put enough, half of it have cheese, half of it not. That's what I'm gonna do. And then you're gonna thread it onto skewers. When you thread it onto your skewers, you're gonna make sure that you don't put the chicken pieces too close together so that the heat from the grill can get around each piece of chicken so that they're not raw where they're pressed up against each other. So I'm gonna do this and then I will come back to you and show you what it looks like when they're ready to go on the grill. Okay, we have our chicken that is ready to go on the grill. Here, you can hold that, show it off. This is, so we did a couple that are dairy-free and then the rest have Parmesan cheese in there as well. These are gonna grill for 8 to 10 minutes, flipping them once. So 4 minutes, flip it over again. And then here is the romaine, which is drizzled with that little dressing we made and a little bit of extra oil. These will go on the grill also, but only for the last couple of minutes. And so Lydia's gonna go get the chicken started on the grill. And I'm moving on to quinoa. So the quinoa salad is going to be quinoa, which I just did 1 cup of quinoa. So it's 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. You rinse the quinoa first to get any of the chafe off the edges outside of it. And then boil it for about 15 minutes, 1 cup quinoa to 2 cups water. And so this is already done. It's gonna go in the fridge so it cools down. This will be a cold quinoa salad. I'll put it in the fridge in just a minute, but we also want to prep the veggies. So you'll want to prep your veggies. So in our quinoa salad, I already cut mine, is going to be, I did 2 tomatoes. I did 1 English cucumber, so the really, really long ones. And I actually peeled mine first. You don't have to though. And then I did 2 stalks of celery and I did about a quarter of a red onion diced really finely. Now here's a fun fact about red onions. I don't know about you, but red onions to me have way too much bite to them. They're too bitter. So here's a fun thing to do. Is you take your red onions and you soak them in cold water. I actually had ice in here. If you soak your red onions, and you could do this if you want to put red onions on a burger or something, anytime you have a raw onion that's going to go in something, if this is too strong for you, if you soak it in ice water for about 10 minutes or a little bit longer, I have mine in a strainer so that when I'm done, I literally can just pull it out. Then it takes some of the bite out. So that's what's gonna go in our quinoa salad along with the dressing that we're gonna make that we will give you instructions for in just a minute. We're gonna let the skewers grill. Again, it's about 4 minutes, flip them over 4 minutes, and then the romaine will go on at the end. We'll come back to you when that is ready. Okay, we have food to show you. So this is, you gotta get it right in front of the camera. This is the very beautiful breaded chicken, but it's got that red wine vinegar for a little bit of tang. It's got a little bit of onion and a little bit of garlic in there. It's got the oregano in there. So it looks like it's all one color, but the flavor is in there. It'll really amaze you. These are very, very good. Amazing. This is the grilled romaine. We just did I did 1.5 minutes maybe with the cut side down, and then I just flipped it over for like 30 seconds just so that it wasn't raw on one side. This still has quite a bit of the dressing on it, but I'm still gonna drizzle just a little bit of red wine vinegar over it and just a little bit of oil. And that's just gonna give it a little extra love. The last thing is the quinoa salad. So here's the quinoa salad. Remember, this was a cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water. Once it's boiling, it's like 15 minutes where it's just simmering on your stove. And then I put it in the fridge to cool it down. These are my veggies. This is 2 stalks of celery. This is an English cucumber. This is 2 tomatoes, and then about 1/4 of a red onion that I soaked in ice water for 10 minutes just to take the bite out of it. So this is, give me a spoon. This is the veggies that are gonna go in here. And now we need to add the dressing. So the dressing is going to be a combination of some of the same flavors we're using. So it'll be olive oil, red wine, but also lemon juice. So it's about 1 lemon's worth of lemon juice, which is approximately 1/4 of a cup if you're using this kind of lemon juice like I am. So it's about 1/4 of a cup of lemon juice that goes in your salad. And then it's 1 part red wine vinegar to 2 parts olive oil. And because I make a different amount every time, I always have to play this by ear. So I'm gonna start with 1/4 of a cup of olive oil, and then I'll do half that of red wine vinegar. So 1/8 of a cup of red wine vinegar, and that looks like it's a lot of liquid, so it's probably gonna be the right amount. And then it needs salt and pepper. I'm making a giant mess. The bowl is really pretty, but me having vegetables flying everywhere is not as pretty.
The dogs appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be pepper, fresh crushed pepper, however much you like, and salt. I would say it's about 1 teaspoon of salt, which I know sounds like a lot, but remember quinoa has absolutely pretty much no flavor, and none of these vegetables have any salt already. So the bowl is kind of messy, but there you go. That's what it looks like. You want to give that a taste? Because this is, you know, something Lydia can eat because there's no dairy, no gluten.
And it's delicious looking.
And she'll tell me if it needs salt, and that'll be, you know, up to taste.
Perfect.
Okay. And then the last thing we did is we cut up some watermelon because it's summer and it's not grilling season unless you've got your cut up watermelon. So we have a feast. It's really fresh. It's really light. And I will include the recipe for you in just a moment here, but if you need any more instruction, always feel free to email me. I'll be happy to give it to you. Otherwise, thanks for joining. Hey, should we try the chicken? Maybe you should try a piece of your chicken. Give us a little bit. Just pull it off. Just pull it on. All of it. Because she's never had this before, it's really surprisingly flavorful. Again, packed in that little piece of chicken that you wouldn't think has so much flavor, right? So it's got the oregano in there, it's got salt, it's got garlic. It probably needs some red pepper flakes. I didn't think to add that, but that would be what I would add in the future. So you can always add some red pepper flakes.
Super flavorful and very crunchy too.
Yeah.
Really good.
Good. All right.
I like it.